Welcome into our interview with junior captain of the baseball team, Cole Callaghan, ahead of the 2021 season. Thanks for taking a couple minutes to talk to me today, Cole.
Thank you.
So this year has been an odd one. So what has it been like for you and your teammates to get to this point today, just about a week away from playing?
It's been kind of long and stressful, I'd say, mostly just because we've had points where we've been on and then points where we've been off. Throughout the fall, we had a few different instances where we were shut down due to COVID protocols and stuff like that. And just it's been difficult with everyone operating sort of on the same schedule and trying to fit all the sports into one area. And I think our athletic department has done a good job trying to make sure everybody gets their time. And we were kind of in an unfortunate spot where with our field being off campus and with it being cold and stuff in the fall and then throughout the winter and even in early spring this semester, it's been a little bit difficult for us to try and get out there, but they've been accommodating us in the Cap Center and then both on the turf too, which we've really appreciated. But it's been a long time waiting, getting the season canceled last year. Obviously, we've been kind of trying to get back and trying to deal with that in a way where some of the guys who didn't get enough experience last year kind of get a taste of what playing games in the OAC is like. And so we've been kind of trying to build on that and make sure that we're all prepared for the season.
It's great. So usually at this point in the year, you guys are down in Florida where it's quite a bit warmer. Don't have to worry about turf time or, field house time or anything like that because it's spring break. So how different is that? And what has the team been doing to utilize that basically extra week of time now?
Yeah, we've definitely been feeling it a little bit. We were taking BP yesterday and there was snow falling. So we weren't really used to that at this point in the season. But I think a lot of the guys have handled it really well. I think obviously we've just had to take advantage of any day where it's above freezing and just get out there and just kind of bear with the elements. And I think it'll actually be good for us because a lot of times when we come back from Florida, we jump right back into cold temperatures. So this is kind of keeping it steady and keeping us prepared for what we're going to see during the season. So I've actually found that while we'd like to be playing games right now, obviously, and it's always great to be in a warm area playing baseball, I think that this might just fare a little bit better for us for when we actually start games here in Ohio, which will be the following weekend against Marietta. So I think it'll be good. Obviously, like I said, it'd be nice to be in the warmth, but I think being in the cold is going to be a good little practice run for us.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great way to look at it. You're playing in the cold anyway, so might as well get used to it. So you've been a starter in center field for most of your first two seasons and will likely be the most experienced guy in the outfield this season. So walk me through what it's like to be able to play that consistently for one and be able to hold down that important position in center field.
Yeah, I was really fortunate in my freshman year. We had a lot of older guys that were willing to kind of show me how things were done, and they've continued. We have a right fielder who's a senior who's played a lot too. His name is Connor Black, and then we have a transfer coming in whose name is Chase Clouser, who's probably going to get a lot of time in the outfield also. And he has finished 4 years at another school, and he's doing a graduate program here. And they both, even this year, have been really helpful. And I think that we've kind of built off of each other where some things that I do that they pick up on and some things that they do that I pick up on. And so it was easier than I feel like a lot of other people may have it for me, just because I had a lot of great role models my freshman year. And then I was able to build on that my sophomore year. So it has been, it was stressful my freshman year. I was nervous. I had never really been in that position. In fact, I came into Capitol being an infielder. So I kind of got mixed up into the outfield and just kind of stuck there. But it's something that I've picked up on and I've really enjoyed it. And I think the coaching staff has done a good job preparing us to be outfielders. And as a team, like everyone just kind of is willing to help as long as you're willing to listen. And I think that was able to make me a lot more prepared for my freshman year. And then it carried into sophomore and then now hopefully junior year. So I would credit it a lot, honestly, to the older guys from when I was younger, just because they did a good job kind of making sure that we knew what to expect. And then throughout my freshman year, kind of being the first time in a college division as good as this one, was really like kind of eye-opening, but I feel like they prepared me well enough to the point where I was able to go in there and do what they needed me to do as a freshman. And so now it's kind of stuck with me. And I think this year is kind of our first chance for a lot of the guys on the team, just because of how young we are, to kind of show that they have what it takes and kind of like want to build upon what we've been working on, and then show the rest of the league that they're ready to play and they're going to be here for a few years and hopefully have a good year.
So you talk about, you were learning from the older guys when you were a younger guy. Well, now you're one of the older guys. So a couple of teams' biggest performers from last year, like in the last few years, from like Shane Lyons and Bo Otto and that whole class have graduated, which leaves a lot of room for some guys to step up. So how do you think the team is responding to that class being gone, and being a captain yourself? How different is it for you?
Well, one of the big things that we've focused on this year, and I think you talk to any of the coaches and any of the players, they'll tell you the same thing, is that we don't have a Shane Lyons or a Bo Otto. And we're not really going to try and replicate them, because we know that we can't. And we know that they are something that comes every once in a while. Shane being a career 370 something hitter, he's a talent that comes fair and far between. I think that kind of our big goal this year, and this is what we've been focusing on in practices, is that we have to play a different brand of baseball than we tried to play last year. Last year, we probably had, through the short amount of games that we probably had the most doubles and home runs that we've had in a long time. And I think that kind of changed the way we play, where it was more focused on, this is how we're going to get our runs, by hitting the ball up, like over the fence, or hitting the ball past people, hitting the ball around the park. And that's kind of how we scored. Whereas now we're focusing a lot more on a little bit of small ball action, where we're doing more bunting, and we have to be real smart, and we have to be strong defensively. And we kind of have been focusing on that, and just knowing that if we want to beat great teams in the OAC, which there's a lot of, then we have to kind of play a different game than we have been in the past. And I think a lot of guys are starting to adjust to that, and kind of starting to understand that the coaching staff knows that if we want to win games, and we do, that we have to play just a little bit different game. And I think that that's one way to kind of take a step past when you lose a guy as talented as Shane or as talented as Bo. We can kind of move past that and kind of find ways to use the strengths that we do have to our advantage.
So we've mentioned it a couple times already, but I want to backtrack a little bit and ask, what does it mean to you to be a captain? It sounds like you've really taken on that role pretty well and really understand like what it means being one of the older guys and where the team's at right now. I'm sure a lot of hard work has been put in. So what does it mean to you to kind of get that recognition?
So I come from a place where in high school we didn't really have captains. Our coaches were against it. And so coming here is kind of something new for me. And honestly, the biggest thing for me was just trying to not let it change how I do things, because I feel like if you're going to be a captain and you're going to be picked to be a captain, then it's because you're doing things the way that they want you to do. And if that's the case, then there's really no need to change what you're doing. So the only real thing that it gave for me was just kind of a bigger voice, and kind of being a freshman and sophomore was kind of intimidating to try and have to speak up sometimes about certain things, or like you want things done a certain way. And so I think it kind of helped with just communication overall, and a lot of things too that it helps with is the freshmen kind of see that as a guy that they can look to. And I think that that's important, getting them on the right track, because it is hard transitioning from high school to college. And so I think that with a lot of that, it brings kind of just a chance to show people, and a chance for them to really understand that this is who that they can listen to understand certain things, or this is who they can come to if they need help in certain things. And I think that that's honestly the most important part of it, is just kind of holding true to what you honestly believe in from the beginning. And I think that if you can't do that, or if you're not doing that, then sometimes you might be better off not being a captain. And so that's why I think like our coaches have done a good job, where they said like, it's just not for some people, where like you may not be doing something wrong, but you just don't really have, like, you don't want to be in that position because you don't honestly understand what it takes. And I think that there's really no shame in that either, just because it is difficult sometimes. But I think that the coaching staff does a good job kind of picking and choosing, and knowing that it doesn't necessarily mean you're any less than somebody else to not be a captain, which is something that we harp on a lot. Where like we don't put certain people over other people just because of the titles they hold or even like their age or how much experience they have. And to just kind of emphasize on the fact that just because somebody has more experience doesn't mean they're above you. It just might mean that you want to tune in when they're talking, or like it's just a chance to learn rather than they're above you or we view them higher than you are. And that's something that is pretty important to me, just because I've always been a strong believer in the fact that if you're going to create a team and a family, which is the goal of every team, is to create a bond between all the teammates, then I think you kind of have to hold everyone to the same standards and keep everyone on the same level. Otherwise, it skews everyone's perception of the entire team. So that's something that is real and important to us. And I think that's kind of what I've tried to focus on as a captain, at least.
We've done a great job of really describing where the team is at this point. And I guess my last question for you really is, what's the team mindset at the moment right now? You're about to start another season. You haven't played for quite a while. So what's the feeling around the program?
I think a lot of guys are anxious and ready to play. And I think a lot of guys are, prepared for the fact that it's going to be an all conference season. It's like we play all conference games. There's no outside games, which is sometimes where you find your rhythm. And that's a challenge that you're just going to have to face, and everybody else in the league is facing too. So I think right now, being as young as we are, some guys are real nervous. Some guys are prepared. And I think all around, like, it's just going to be about, we got to get in there and kind of just deal with stuff as it comes. I think our Coach Grice always talks about that confidence is bred by preparation and bred by success. So I think that we kind of know that in order to really get the experience that we feel like we need to take our team to the next level, we have to just go into games and focus on what we've prepared with and focus on what we need to do to make sure that we're winning baseball games. So I think right now it's just ready to go and being prepared for the season. I think getting canceled, especially for a lot of the freshmen that were playing last year, was really disappointing for their first year. And so they're excited to come back and get another taste and finally get to see what the OAC is all about.
Well, we're excited to see you guys play. So thank you very much for your time today, Cole, and wish you the best of luck with the season.
Thank you very much.